Hi, this is Jerry, Kilo Mike 4, Zulu Kilo Bravo, and I'm going to show you how to build this for cheap. I've got less than $3 into the metal for this 2-inch receiver hitch mast support, and it fits perfectly. Keep watching till the end and you'll see how I built this for cheap. Okay, we're going to use another section of the conduit that we purchased scrap. Got about a 10-foot section, if I remember the correct length, for $8. So very, very cheap. And this is a good conduit, strong, and as we talked about in a previous video, it's zinc plated. So we're going to be welding onto it here, and you can see maybe I have ground off the zinc plating here where I intend to weld. Okay, we're going to be trying to mate a square tube to a round tube, you know, a little square peg and a round hole, and it don't exactly fit. So what I have done is I've marked up this piece of 2x2 square tubing as to what we're going to do with it. And you can see right here, what I did is I took the end of the conduit and laid it at each corner and drew the radius here on both sides. And we're going to grind that off with our side grinder to try to get it as round as possible, and that'll give us a better welding surface where we get more contact with the conduit pipe itself. And before we weld it up, we're also going to be needing to drill some holes here, which I've already got marked. And I took some dial calipers and measured the width, divided it by half, and then scratched the line in there. You can probably see the light reflecting off of it. And then I also measured down 4 inches from the end so we can have the same position on both sides. Now this one already had a small hole drilled in it. We're not going to be using that, so it should get drilled out. And I've already center punched my cross points here where we can go inside and use the drill press here in a few minutes after we get this rounded off as best we can. Like I say, it doesn't have to be perfect. It'll allow us to get more contact here with the conduit when we tack it up and then when we weld it. We'll tack it up first, make sure we're at 90 degrees. After we test that, then we will finish the welds. So first off, let's get this set aside, and we'll use the clamp here on the welding cart to clamp it down. And one thing I recommend everybody to do, use hearing protection. My ears, from previous years not using hearing protection, my ears ring constantly now. So please use hearing protection. And I've got some, this is a combination of hearing protection and a radio receiver. They're made by 3M. I believe they're called Work Tunes. They work very well for hearing protection. And also, like if you're working outside, mowing your yard or whatever, you can listen to the radio at a safe level because it limits the level out from the speakers themselves so that they don't hurt your ears either. So let's get this going here. And grind this off a little bit here. Okay, that's one side, and I'll show you what we've done here. You can see how that's radiused around there, and it's not necessarily at its final depth. I may have to true it up a little bit, depending on how the angle measures when we go to connect it to our pipe. Let's get the other side. Get this clamped down so it doesn't move around on me, and see what we can do here. Like I said previously, this does not have to be perfect, but we need to get, you know, within a 1/16 of an inch or so in order to do a good weld. And you can see maybe that right there. It's a pretty good match already there, and on the bottom side too. Like I say, it doesn't have to be perfect, because the weld will bridge that gap. All right, so what we can do when we go to weld it is I can clamp to this 90-degree angle here, both the pipe and the 2x2 square tubing, clamp it in place, and then weld it. So that'll hold us at our 90-degree angle. Before we do that, we need to drill the holes. I'm going to drill some holes here in the conduit, and I'll show you why later. And we need to drill the holes here in the 2x2 for the pin in the receiver hitch. So let's go into the drill press and start doing some drilling. Okay, we've got a step drill set up here in the drill press, and I've got marked how deep I need to go for the hole size that I want. All I've got to do now is drill the hole. There's one side. Now let's turn around and drill the other side. And there's the other side. And you can see straight through it. That'll accept the pin for the receiver hitch and lock it into place. And we've got plenty of length here, which will be depth into the receiver for support. And we'll have our pipe welded down here. So let's drill a couple of small holes in the pipe. This is, I got labeled as a top because I've made measurements so I could know where to do this. So I want a couple of holes down here in the bottom. I'm going to make the holes about a 1/2 inch from the bottom. And you'll see this doesn't have to be real precise about their location, but I've got a 1/2 inch line marked over here, and then 180 degrees on the opposite side. I've got another line marked, and we'll make this about a 1/4 of an inch in diameter, which should be up about 3 marks or 3 steps from the bottom. So now we got holes all the way through. And you'll see the purpose of that later. From what I can tell, we're ready to weld the pipe to the 2-inch square tube. So let's go back out to the welder. And I weld outside for a reason. If there's any off-gassing of any type, got plenty of air circulation, so I shouldn't be breathing in that much of it. But I did clean all the galvanization off of the pipe. You see the shiny area there? The galvanization's been removed, so we're ready to go weld. Okay, we've got our pipe and our square tube clamped up in the jig here. Because they're clamped together on our 90-degree angle here, we should have a good 90-degree angle here once it's welded up. I'm going to put a couple of tacks here at the top area and on this side area, and I'll tack it down here on the bottom as well. and then we'll turn it over, clean it up, and tack the other side. So we've got those tacks there. I'm going to put a couple of tacks down here. And now we're ready to flip it over and put some tacks on the other side. Should be able to just flip it. Everything should stay. It'll be in a little awkward angle here. I need to clean off some of this rust real quick. Just going to touch it lightly. Get surface rust off. And we're ready to do a tack there. And we'll put a tack down here on the bottom as well. Okay, so we got it tacked in position. We can unclamp it now, since the welds should hold it in position there. And we'll inspect it, and then we can weld it up, finish welding it up. And again, I know everybody's not gonna have all this equipment. Hopefully, you know somebody that has a welder that can do some light welding. If not, there's several resources that are generally available to most anyone. You may have to do a little research. There are a lot of what's called maker spaces nowadays in cities, and they have people there that can help you, that can do the welding or train you. And also a good place is VOTEC schools, even high schools that have a welding shop. You know, lots of times those teachers or instructors need projects to work on. And if you bring everything into them, most of the time they'd be more than happy to weld this either for free or just for a few dollars. So think about those resources that are available to you. Of course, you've got a friend that has a welder or just a welding shop. You know, they could do this for little to nothing. All right, how's it looking? Looking pretty good to me. This doesn't seem to be twisted that I can tell. Everything looks at right angles. So I think we can continue to weld it up. Put my welding jig away there. Let's wire brush off. Since this is a flux core welder, it leaves flux on there. If you're going to weld over it, it's best to remove that flux before you do any more welding. All right, so let's go ahead and put a weld down through here, and then we'll do the other side. Okay, that side is welded, like somebody else said, and you know, I've said I'm not a trained welder, but as they said, a grinder and paint will cover up for the welder you ain't, or something to that effect. And that's what I intend to do. Are the welds going to be strong enough to support this? Oh yeah. More than enough. Is it going to be pretty? Is it going to be professional looking? Initially, no. But that goes back to the grinder and paint. We can make it look good, and that's what I intend to do. So let's weld up this side also. And some of you may be saying, you don't have anything on your arms. And if I was going to be welding for any length of time, I would need to put something on my arms because welder puts out ultraviolet light. Ultraviolet light will give you sunburn, just like the sun. So you have to be aware of that if you're new to welding. All right, let's get a bead on, on this side. And we'll finish up this side. We just need to clean this up a little bit. And it is definitely hot, so be careful. Get the grinder here, get my hearing protection, get it on, get the grinder and clean up some of the splatter. I've got to be careful. I almost reached and picked that up, and that's going to be super hot right now. I'm going to lay this down here where I can get to this inside angle. I think we got one more inside angle to do here, then we should be through grinding. Okay, that's what a grinder will do for you. If I was a better welder, I wouldn't have to grind as much. I know that. But for a hobby welder and for something that is not that critical on the weld strength, this is not going to be supporting that much weight, and it's going to have very little strain on it at all. I think we'll be fine. And I apologize to all the professional welders or the ones that have been trained. I'm not claiming to be a welder. I'm trying to show how you can build something for yourself. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is not pipe welding where it's going to be on a pressurized vessel or anything else. Structurally, this is going to be fine. And I'm going to paint this entire thing black just so it'll look like one piece, and that should protect it and make it good for years to come. So let's put on our hearing protection again and just take off this surface rust. Okay, we got the majority of the surface rust off of there. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but that should suffice. I think we're through grinding now. And we could use it just like this. Not a problem. But just to protect it from rust, make it look a little better, we'll put a little paint on it. So I'm going to get the work surface prepared here because I don't want paint on my welding table. We'll come back and we'll paint. Okay, I decided to hang it from a wire. I've used this wire several times for different projects, just not anything that I have videoed or recorded before. And we'll start out just putting a light coat on here and see how it goes. Makes a good bell. I accidentally hit it there. This is just cheap paint, nothing special. And we'll let this flash off. Boy, it's already starting to look good. And like one of my viewers said, grinder and paint makes you look like the welder you ain't. And that holds true here. That almost looks like something you might buy, actually spend money for. I've got, let's see, that 6 or 8 foot piece of 2x2 tube I bought from the scrapyard was 65 cents. I paid $8 for this piece of conduit that was at least 10 foot long. And this is the second project out of it. And I've still got about 4 feet left over, maybe 5 feet left over. This is a little over 2 foot. This is about 2 foot. So it's about 2 foot by 2 foot. And the reason I made my offset here this length, I test fitted the square tube in the receiver hitch of my red truck. And I wanted to keep this far enough back so the tailgate wouldn't hit it, and also far enough down where it'd be below, just below the level of the tailgate, in case I wanted to get up into the back of the bed of the truck, or if I wanted to operate, set up my radio on the bed of the truck, this would would be there, would not interfere with lowering the tailgate. So that was my purpose for this particular length. And I didn't give you measurements on that for that reason, because the distance back that you need to be for your truck or SUV or even car that may have a 2-inch receiver will be different. So this length here, you decide. Well, actually both lengths. You decide for your particular application. This will also have a 2-inch receiver in the front of the Beast, my military Blazer. So I can put this in the front of my military Blazer, and I can put it on my truck. And I never did tell you why I drill these holes here. I got to thinking, what if I don't want the mast to go all the way to the ground? I can put a bolt through here to support the base of the antenna. Just sitting on top of the bolt. The bolt would be here. The antenna, the mast for the antenna would just sit on top of the bolt. Is there a particular reason for that? No. Not that I can think of, other than it will make the mast 2 feet higher. You may need that. I just thought it might be a good option. That's the reason I drilled this. And I'll get a 3.5 or 4-inch shoulder bolt and just run that through there and then insert the mast. Should work, shouldn't it? We'll let this flash off and we'll be done. Okay, we've got our completed antenna support for the 2-inch receiver. All painted up, looking pretty good. And we're going to slide it in here. Got a pin. We'll stick in the hole here. There. So there it is. This will support most any mast that you may have. This is my 1007, and it should slip right down through there. Now, I don't have the bottom pin in that we talked about earlier, but this will support the mast. Just extend your mast as normal. And there we go. So it's a good support. Now, as I talked about earlier, I drill those holes in the bottom so this could be raised up. So I'm going to pick it up just a little bit, put the bolt in. Excuse me, I've got to get over here where I can see. Now you can see that the mast doesn't go all the way to the ground, and it's supported by that bolt. So there it is. We've got a completed mount. Let's open the back here, and it's full of stuff, but you can see that the tailgate is fully dropped, and I could use this to put my radio or anything else, and it doesn't interfere. There's room there. It's below the level, so even if the mast wasn't in it, it wouldn't interfere with the tailgate. So that's it. You can build this. I've got maybe $3 in materials, so you could pay somebody $10 or $20 if you needed somebody else to weld it up for you. Hope you've enjoyed this. Hope you can benefit from it. I'll be using this on an activation soon, I hope, and hope to see you then. This is Jerry, Kilo Mike 4, Zulu Kilo Bravo. Hope you have a blessed day.